All right, today we're diving into the absolutely incredible life of Mireya. She's a primatologist, a conservationist, and honestly, one of the most unlikely modern-day explorers you could ever imagine.
Now, you might think that sounds like a job description for a Hollywood stunt double, right? But nope. For Mireya, that's just a regular day at the office. Her work literally takes her to the edge, into some of the most remote and dangerous places on the entire planet. And that's the big question, isn't it? Her journey is just as wild as her expeditions. It's a story that just completely defies what you'd expect. So how on earth does that happen? How do you make that leap?
To really get a handle on her work, you've got to look at where she started. Her path wasn't exactly a straight line from childhood. It was a huge, sharp turn into the unknown.
I mean, just look at this. On one side, you have a self-described city girl, a former cheerleader for the Miami Dolphins, and on the other, a seriously decorated scientist, a Fulbright scholar, a National Science Foundation fellow. It just completely shatters the stereotype of what an explorer is supposed to look like.
So what was it? What was that one thing that flipped a switch? What took her from the sidelines of a football field and dropped her deep into the rainforest?
Well, it all started in a place you might not expect, a college classroom. While she was an undergrad, she took a class on primates, and that was it. Everything changed. She found a passion that would totally rewrite the entire purpose of her life. And listen to the word she uses, seized. It wasn't just an interest. It was like something grabbed a hold of her. She found out that not only were these amazing animals about to disappear forever, but for some of them we knew almost nothing. I mean, not even a single photograph existed. That realization just lit a fire inside her.
So her life's work became about this one powerful idea, conservation. It wasn't going to be enough to just observe these animals. She had to be on the front lines, actively protecting them and their homes from being completely wiped out.
Okay, so she's got this mission, right? But she didn't just stay cooped up in a lab. No way. She carved out this really unique career that blended intense, hardcore science with being a public figure.
You can think of it like she's living in two different worlds at the same time. In one, she's out in the field doing that grueling, hands-on research. In the other, she's in front of the camera as a correspondent for National Geographic. But both of those jobs, they serve the exact same mission: make people see what we're about to lose and inspire them to do something about it.
And get this, her work started having these ripple effects that nobody could have predicted. For instance, she was in Namibia filming at a safe haven for leopards. Well, a vet there accidentally stumbled upon a potential cure for fluid on the brain, a condition that affects human babies, while treating the cats. Her film brought a ton of attention, which led to actual hospital studies. Just amazing.
And that right there is exactly why she believes so strongly in what media can do. She knows that TV can close the distance between a jungle in a faraway country and your living room. It builds a connection, you know? And like she says, when you're facing mass extinction, creating that awareness is absolutely everything.
All right, so all of this leads up to what is probably her most famous expedition. We're talking about a discovery in Madagascar that had this massive, game-changing impact.
So her mission? To find and document a brand new species of mouse lemur, the world's tiniest primate. And let me tell you, this was no walk in the park. Imagine trekking through remote jungles in the middle of monsoon season, looking for a creature that's super small and only comes out at night. Yeah, brutal.
But here's the thing, finding the lemur, that was actually the easy part. The real challenge started after the discovery. She had to painstakingly document everything to prove it was a new species. Then, she had to take that proof all the way to the government of Madagascar and convince them to protect its home. And somehow, she actually pulled it off.
So let's just break down how huge this was. It all kicked off with one single discovery: a tiny mouse lemur that science had never seen before.
Because of that one little animal, the president of Madagascar made a mind-blowing decision to triple the number of protected areas in the entire nation.
And as if that wasn't enough, they established a $50 million conservation fund to make sure these protections would actually last. Think about that. One tiny lemur became, as she put it, a huge ambassador for all things wild in Madagascar.
Incredible.
So after all these years, all these incredible discoveries, what's the big takeaway? Her message today really boils down to the single most important lesson she's learned out there in the wild. And it's this: you can't just fly in and save a forest. It just doesn't work. For conservation to actually stick, you absolutely have to involve the local people who call that place home. She says it best herself, right? The local people are the very core of it all. Without them, this whole dream of saving the planet just stays a dream. That's why she does things like organize field trips for local kids. She knows that if they fall in love with these animals, they'll become their fiercest protectors.
And this really brings us to her urgent warning for every single one of us. These incredible places, these natural laboratories, are hanging on by a thread. They could literally vanish in our lifetime, becoming just a memory.
So that leaves us with a pretty stark question. What kind of books are we going to write for the future? Will they be science books, full of living, breathing wonders? Or will they be history books, telling sad stories about what we once had and what we let slip away?